Have you ever found yourself feeling completely drained, emotionally exhausted, or even a little bit down after spending time with certain people, even those you deeply care about? Perhaps you've left a family gathering feeling more tired than when you arrived, carrying a heavy weight on your shoulders that wasn't there before. It's a painful reality that many of us face, especially as we navigate the beautiful, rich tapestry of life after 60. We're taught that family is everything, and that love means endless sacrifice. But sometimes, the very people we're closest to can unknowingly, or even knowingly, diminish our peace and joy. We carry these burdens, often feeling guilty for even considering setting boundaries, because that's just how they are, or they're family. But dear friends, sacrificing your hard-won peace and happiness is too high a price to pay, particularly at this stage of life when your well-being should be your top priority. It's time to uncover a liberating truth. It is not only okay, but absolutely essential to protect your precious energy and emotional health. In this video, we're going to bravely explore 5 specific types of toxic people you might encounter in your life, even within your own family. And, crucially, how to safeguard your emotional well-being from their draining influence. Make sure you watch until the very end, because I've got something to share that might just surprise you and completely change your perspective on these relationships, offering a powerful path to greater peace. Let's dive right in with the very first type of person who can truly drain your spirit and leave you feeling less than yourself. The constant critic. Imagine someone who, no matter what you say or do, always finds a flaw, always has a negative comment ready, or somehow manages to turn your good news into an opportunity for criticism. You tell them about a new hobby you've picked up, say, learning to paint watercolors, and instead of a simple, "That's wonderful," you get something like, "Oh, that's nice. But are you sure you have the patience for that? And don't those paints get everywhere? Remember how messy you were as a child?" Or perhaps you share an exciting plan for a trip, and their immediate response is, "Are you sure that's safe for someone your age? Or that sounds expensive. Maybe you should rethink it." It's as if a cloud of negativity follows them, and every ray of sunshine you try to bring into the conversation is immediately overshadowed. They might even disguise this as just being honest or giving you tough love, but the underlying effect is corrosive. They chip away at your confidence, make you second-guess your decisions, and eventually, you might find yourself hesitant to share anything positive with them at all, just to avoid their inevitable barrage of negativity. This constant stream of disapproval can erode your self-esteem, making you feel inadequate and dulling your natural enthusiasm for life. It drains your energy because you're constantly bracing yourself for the next jab, or trying to defend your perfectly valid choices. So, how do you handle a constant critic, especially when they're family? The key is to acknowledge their comment without engaging in a debate or trying to justify yourself. A simple, calm response like, "Thanks for your opinion," or "I appreciate your thoughts," followed by a quick change of subject, can be incredibly effective. You don't need to argue, because they thrive on argument. For instance, if they criticize your new coat, saying it's too bright, you could simply smile and say, "I love it," and then immediately ask them about their day, or something completely unrelated. You are setting a boundary by refusing to let their negativity hijack the conversation. Another powerful strategy is to consciously limit your exposure. If meeting in person always leaves you feeling depleted, perhaps reduce the frequency of visits, or keep them shorter. If phone calls are the culprit, suggest texts or emails instead, or decide you'll only talk for a set amount of time. It's not about being rude, it's about protecting your own peace. Remember, their negativity often stems from their own insecurities or dissatisfaction, and it has very little to do with you. You are not responsible for their happiness. nor are you obliged to absorb their cynicism. One of our viewers shared how they used to dread Sunday dinners because their sibling would always pick apart their life choices, from their cooking to their retirement plans. It made every gathering a source of anxiety, but once they started practicing deflecting these comments, acknowledging without engaging, and quickly steering the conversation elsewhere, they noticed a shift. The sibling eventually got less satisfaction from their criticism, and while they didn't change entirely, the impact on our viewer lessened significantly. This isn't about changing them. It's about changing your response and protecting your inner world. Protecting your emotional space from the constant critic is one of the most empowering steps you can take for your overall well-being. It allows you to continue pursuing your passions and making choices that bring you joy, without the heavy burden of someone else's perpetual disapproval. Now that we've talked about the constant critic and how vital it is to protect your spirit from their relentless negativity, let's turn our attention to another equally draining presence, one that often manipulates through guilt and leaves you feeling perpetually responsible for their unhappiness. Moving on from those who constantly find fault, let's turn our attention to another draining presence, the victim mentality, or the martyr. These are individuals for whom everything bad seems to happen. They perpetually dwell on misfortunes, both real and perceived, and consistently refuse to take responsibility for their own choices or circumstances. Every conversation eventually circles back to their suffering, their hardships, and how everyone else has it easier. They often subtly, or not so subtly, use guilt to manipulate those around them. You might hear phrases like, "No one ever helps me, even if you've just gone out of your way for them," or, "My life is so hard. Unlike yours, you're so lucky." They might even recount past sacrifices they made for you or others, not out of love, but as a silent ledger to be called upon later. They thrive on being the wronged one, and their stories of woe can become an endless loop, pulling you into their drama and making you feel responsible for their happiness, which is a burden no one should have to carry. The emotional exhaustion this creates is profound, as you find yourself constantly offering solutions that are rejected, or sympathy that seems to only fuel their need for more pity. You might end up feeling guilty for simply having a good day, or for pursuing your own happiness, because it highlights their perceived lack of it. So, how do you manage someone with a victim mentality? The most crucial step is to stop trying to fix them. They aren't looking for solutions. They're looking for sympathy and attention. When they start their lament, listen for a moment. Offer a single, practical suggestion if you feel inclined. But then, if they reject it or continue the cycle, gently pivot. A phrase like, "I'm sorry to hear that. I hope things improve for you," followed by a change of subject, can be very effective. Do not get drawn into their drama or their endless cycle of complaints. Refuse to participate in their pity party. It's essential to limit your emotional investment. It's not your job to lift them out of their self-imposed misery. You can be compassionate, but you must protect your own energy. One powerful example comes from a viewer who had an aunt who constantly used her sacrifices for the family to control every decision. From holiday plans to where everyone lived, the aunt would bemoan how much she'd given up, making everyone feel indebted and guilty. Our viewer realized that the aunt wasn't seeking resolution, but rather a way to maintain control and receive constant validation for her martyrdom. By setting a firm boundary, respectfully listening, but refusing to be manipulated by the guilt, and making their own choices regardless of the aunt's implied disapproval, they slowly reclaimed their autonomy, even if it meant fewer interactions. Moving on from those who constantly play the victim, let's explore a type of individual who can be particularly insidious because their toxicity often comes wrapped in a deceptive package: the controller or manipulator. These individuals feel an innate need to dictate how you live, what you think, or what you do, even in the most subtle ways. They don't respect your autonomy and believe they know what's best for you. This control can manifest as overt demands, You should do X. Don't you think it would be better if you... Followed by a heavy sigh or a look of disapproval if you don't immediately agree. Or it can be much more passive-aggressive, using guilt trips like, if you really cared about me, you'd... They might try to manage your finances, your social life, or even your daily routine, all under the guise of caring or helping. The impact on you is profound. You begin to feel stifled. Your independence erodes, and resentment builds. You might find yourself constantly trying to please them or justifying your perfectly valid choices, which drains your spirit and makes you doubt your own judgment. Dealing with a controller requires firm, clear boundaries. The key here is not to justify your decisions. Simply state them. When a controller attempts to tell you what to do, a calm but resolute, I appreciate your concern, but I've already made my decision. Or, that's not what I'm choosing to do, without further explanation, is incredibly powerful. You don't owe them a detailed reason for your choices. Practice saying no firmly but politely. Remember, no is a complete sentence. If they persist, you can repeat yourself or end the conversation. For example, if a family member insists you attend an event you don't want to, instead of inventing an excuse, simply say, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it." If they push, "I'm not available," is sufficient. Reasserting your independence is vital. Remind yourself, and gently remind them if necessary, that you are an adult capable of making your own choices. One viewer shared how their older sibling, out of what they claimed was love, tried to micromanage their finances and even dictated who they could spend time with after their spouse passed. It took immense courage, but the viewer eventually sat their sibling down and explained, "I love you, and I know you mean well, but I am an adult and capable of managing my own life. I need you to respect my decisions, even if they're different from what you would choose." This direct boundary-setting conversation, though difficult, ultimately helped establish a healthier dynamic. It's about protecting your personal space and your right to self-determination. And now, for our fourth type, one that can be truly baffling and frustrating to deal with, often leaving you feeling unheard and undervalued. The taker, often referred to as the energy vampire. These are the individuals who only seem to contact you when they need something. It could be money, a ride, help with a chore, or just an ear to complain to for hours on end. They drain your resources, your time, your emotional energy, and sometimes your actual money, without any sense of reciprocity. They are rarely, if ever, there for you when you need support, encouragement, or even just a listening ear in return. You might find yourself constantly giving, while receiving nothing but further requests. This one-sided dynamic can leave you feeling used, resentful, and utterly depleted, as if you're a utility rather than a valued individual. It's not just about material things. It's about their constant consumption of your time and emotional bandwidth without ever replenishing it. They expect your availability and generosity, but offer none in return. To handle the taker, you must learn to prioritize yourself and your own needs. It's perfectly acceptable to say, "I'm not available right now," or "I can't help with that particular request." Without feeling guilty, you don't need to elaborate or make excuses. If they call solely to complain, you can gently interrupt and say, "I'm so sorry you're going through that, but I have to go now. I hope things get better." Setting clear expectations is key. If you agree to help with something, be specific about your limits. "I can drive you there, but I need to be back by X time." Or, "I can help for an hour, but then I have another commitment." Observe the patterns of your interactions. Do they always initiate contact when they need something? Do they disappear when you might need support? This awareness helps you recognize the dynamic. In some cases, if appropriate, you can try asking for reciprocity. "I've helped you with X. Perhaps you could help me with why. But be prepared for them to suddenly become unavailable. A viewer shared how a distant relative would only call when in a bind, usually needing a significant financial loan or a complicated favor. The viewer, out of a sense of family duty, always helped, but realized they never heard from this relative unless there was a new crisis. Eventually, they had to make the difficult decision to stop offering help, explaining gently that they were no longer in a position to assist. It was hard, but it was essential for their financial and emotional well-being. This isn't about being unkind. It's about valuing your own resources and ensuring that your relationships are balanced and reciprocal, rather than being a constant one-way street. We've covered some tough ground so far, identifying individuals who can really test our resilience. But there's one more type, perhaps the most subtle, yet equally damaging, that we absolutely need to address. This is the gossip or the drama generator. These individuals thrive on spreading rumors, stirring up conflict, and constantly bringing negativity into conversations by talking about others behind their backs. If they're sharing secrets or judgmental comments about one family member with you, it's highly likely they're doing the same about you with someone else. They revel in interpersonal drama, often creating it where none existed, purely for the excitement or attention it brings. You might find yourself dreading family gatherings because you know this person will be circulating whispers, drawing people into unnecessary conflicts, and generally making the atmosphere feel unsafe and distrustful. Their presence can erode the bonds of trust within a family or friendship group, making you question who you can truly confide in. They turn every interaction into a potential minefield of whispered secrets and judgmental comments, leaving you feeling uneasy and constantly on edge. It's a constant stream of low-level anxiety that chips away at your peace. So, how do you navigate the murky waters surrounding a gossip or drama generator? The most effective strategy is to simply refuse to engage. When they start sharing a juicy bit of gossip, change the subject immediately. You can say something like, "Oh, that's interesting. Speaking of something else, how about that lovely weather we've been having?" Or, "I'm not really comfortable talking about other people's private matters." Be firm but polite. Do not add to the gossip. Do not validate it, and do not encourage it. If they persist, you can excuse yourself from the conversation. Maintaining neutrality is also crucial. Do not take sides in the dramas they try to create, and do not repeat anything they tell you, even if it seems harmless. Remember, anything you say or do can be twisted and used later. It's also wise to limit the amount of personal information you share with them. If they can't be trusted with others' privacy, they certainly can't be trusted with yours. This isn't about being aloof. It's about protecting your own reputation and preventing yourself from being drawn into unnecessary, draining conflicts. A viewer once shared the story of a family member who turned every holiday dinner into a forum for dissecting everyone else's lives, often embellishing or outright fabricating stories. Our viewer found peace by simply excusing themselves whenever the gossip started, or by redirecting the conversation to innocuous topics like current events or shared pleasant memories, effectively starving the drama generator of the fuel they needed. So there you have it, the constant critic, the eternal victim, the subtle controller, the relentless taker, and the drama-loving gossip. Each one, in their own unique way, can chip away at your precious peace and happiness, especially as we step into this beautiful and vital stage of life where your well-being truly matters most. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's a profound act of self-preservation. It's about honoring your peace, your joy, and your undeniable right to live a life filled with positive energy and meaningful connections. You have absolutely earned the right to choose who you spend your precious time with, and how that time makes you feel. This isn't about cutting people off entirely, though sometimes, for your own sanity, that can be a necessary and brave step. More often, it's about managing the relationship, limiting your exposure, or simply changing the dynamic so that you are no longer the one sacrificing your well-being for the sake of another's patterns. This isn't about being mean or unloving. It's about being wise and recognizing that your peace of mind is paramount. You are allowed to protect your space, your energy, and your heart. Think of it this way: for so many years, many of us, especially women, have been conditioned to put others first, often out of deep love, a sense of duty, or simply long-held habit. But now, as we reach and embrace our later years, it's truly our time to nurture ourselves, to cultivate relationships that uplift and energize us, and to lovingly, but firmly, release those dynamics that consistently drag us down. It takes courage. Yes, particularly when these individuals are family, but the rewards are immeasurable. You will find yourself with more joy, significantly less stress, and the capacity for deeper, more authentic connections with those who truly value you for who you are, without strings or conditions attached. The surprising thing I promised at the beginning, it's this: when you begin to truly understand these dynamics and start setting these healthy boundaries, you might find that some of these toxic relationships actually shift. Not always, because some people are simply unwilling to change their patterns. But sometimes, people will either adapt to your new boundaries, respecting your space and your needs, or they will naturally drift away. And when they drift, it leaves you with more space, more time, and more energy for healthier, more fulfilling connections. This outcome, the creation of space for genuinely positive relationships, is a gift beyond measure. You might even find that by courageously protecting your own peace, you're modeling healthy boundaries for others in your family, creating a ripple effect of well-being that benefits everyone. It's a powerful act, not just for yourself, but potentially for your wider circle too. I'd truly love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you encountered any of these types of individuals in your own life? And if so, how have you handled them? What strategies have you found most helpful in protecting your peace? Please share your experiences and any advice you have in the comments section below. Your story could truly help someone else who's struggling with similar situations and feeling alone. If this video resonated with you, and you found it helpful and empowering, please give it a thumbs up. It truly helps our channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're here to bring you more content designed to help you live your best life, filled with joy, health, and purpose, at every single age. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Remember, your peace is precious. Protect it fiercely. Live your best life at every age.